Hi, welcome back to Body Image Coach. I'm Jane Richardson and I'm the host, and I'm joined by Olivia and Jennie again. And today we're going to talk about having too many mirrors in the house and how that can affect the way we see ourselves. So,
What a topic of conversation. Too many mirrors in the house. Oh gosh, I could speak all day about this, but I, as somebody that has had body dysmorphic disorder, I don't have too many mirrors in the house now. And as somebody that actually supports teenagers with body dysmorphic disorder, I would urge other people not to have too many mirrors in the house because what do you do when you see a mirror? You check, you know? So, of course, you're going to keep checking because the mirror's there, you check it, and it reinforces the habit, and you keep checking and checking. So, I don't know how you feel about it. What do you two think about that?
I don't have many mirrors in the house. Um, because you're right, I don't, but when we have got mirrors, the first thing I do is check, and I'm immediately like, this is wrong, this is wrong. So, and I don't have a full length mirror in the house, and I keep saying to my husband, oh, I must get one, because I don't know what I look like. I don't know what this outfit looks like. I don't know whether these clothes go with this, but I'm very, very reticent to get one because I know that it'll be actually a negative experience for me. So I
Yeah.
don't have that many, but I want to have them, but then I don't want to have them. I do want, yeah. So it's,
And it's funny, and I don't know how you feel about this, Jenny, as a therapist, but it's funny that because Jane and I have both said we know that if we have too many mirrors, we'll get back into that, you know, saying negative things about ourselves. But some therapists and coaches could argue that you're avoiding life, or you're avoiding things. Like, what's your intake on that?
Well, I first wanted to just say that I have got lots of mirrors in my house.
Oh,
Um,
well done.
well, quite a lot. And it's interesting because with people who have body dysmorphia, they have a very difficult relationship with the mirror. You're right to say that some people, um, they're kind of drawn to the mirror, and they become obsessively focused on looking at themselves and checking and reassurance seeking with the mirror. And other people really avoid mirrors at all costs. And I imagine that for most people who have body dysmorphia, it's a good idea not to have a house full of mirrors, just because that's almost like a step too far.
It
Um,
almost sounds like a horror movie, doesn't it? A house full of
Full of mirrors.
mirrors.
Actually,
Sounds-
actually, to me, it's not. I remember going to, I think it was Wookie Hole, and going to a maze of mirrors, and it was
yeah.
abs amazing, amazing maze. It was just
Uh,
the most beautiful thing to do. They were all refracting, but for somebody with body dysmorphia, that would be a horror movie, a nightmare.
yeah.
Um, where else do I want to go with this? I noticed my own response to mirrors, that I actually have a system with the way I respond to a mirror. So I get up in the morning, I do what I've got to do to try and make myself look as presentable as I can. And then I don't really engage with mirrors. But I have one mirror that would be potentially a risky mirror for me, from the days when I used to pick up my face. Um, and that mirror lives on the shelf in the bedroom, and I never look in that mirror. It's a magnifying mirror on one side. It's one of these illuminated makeup mirrors. Um, I don't really know why it's there. It just keeps arriving there. And
Can I ask you, is that
yeah,
the mirror, like when you said you used a skin pick,
yeah,
is it the same mirror in
yeah,
the same place?
yes,
Now that's
yes.
interesting. So you've done a lot of inner work then to get to
Uh,
that.
yeah. So what I do is, I've really cut that out of my life now. I don't pick at my face anymore. But that was a long journey. And I know that, you were saying in the last session, we talked about how that with body dysmorphia, the potential is still there, Olivia. It's sort of like a lifelong journey. Once it's
Right.
become entrenched, it's something that you live with.
Yeah.
And I noticed that if I am drawn to the mirror, or I would be drawn to the mirror at certain times of the year, in certain times of the day, certain situations. So if I'm alone, I'm bored, it's a warm day. And I just might think, oh, there's nobody in the house. I'll go and do that. And I hear it coming. And no, divert, do something else. But that's after a lot of work in relation to mirrors.
I was going to say that oozes awareness, that does, doesn't it? Like that, the awareness that you have that it's coming, that inner voice that it's coming.
It could come.
Yeah, and I don't know about you, Jenny, but one of the things that I've do is I obviously I still have mirrors, but I don't have many mirrors. But the one that I look in the most is the one that's the most kind to me, and it's the one that it's unnatural lighting, so it doesn't really show as, you know, it's just a kind mirror.
This is the thing. This is what is so ridiculous about it, because there are some mirrors that make you look thinner. There are some mirrors, you know, if you go into why in shop changing rooms are the mirrors always vile? And you think,
I don't
actually,
know.
it's not very good marketing for them, is it? You should have mirrors that make you look absolutely amazing.
But they still sell the items. Like, how does that happen?
And I think there are mirrors that make, you know, and so it's not the mirror is not a real representation of you. It's like a photograph, isn't it? Whenever I walk past a mirror, I think, do I really look like that? That I'm often quite, because it's not how I feel about myself. So sometimes I think I'm actually, in my head, I'm better looking than when I look in the mirror. I think, gosh, that's not what I thought I looked like.
And it just goes to show you that it's not even about how you look, is it? It's just about how you feel about your look.
Yeah.
I remember when I was in Amsterdam years ago, when I was in the thick of body dysmorphic disorder, and I remember being in a queue outside, queuing up for Anne Frank's museum, and I don't know what it was about those windows, but at the time, I remember looking in the window, and I just thought I looked like the most horrendous person in the world. And I remember the panic that I felt in my body just because of how my reflection looked. And I was with all my friends at the time, and I had to keep it a secret. You know, it's very hard to almost have a panic attack whilst trying to look like you're having fun. And so that's a big thing as well, isn't it? You know, it's not just mirrors, it's reflections, and it's everywhere.
Yes. You know? I used to have a dream of having a therapy treatment centre that would be a reflective free zone. But we know that with body dysmorphia, when it's at its worst, people will find reflective surfaces in all kinds of places.
I found one last night. I was in the bath in my new home, enjoying a nice bath after decorating the whole place, and my arms are really hurting. Not that you need to know any of that, but I was in the bath, all the bubbles. I had a nice cup of tea in my hand, and then all of a sudden I could see my face in the end of the bath. There was like the plug that you turn. It's a big silver thing, and it was about this big, and I just looked at it and I was like, oh, hi, hello. But back in the day, I would have been like, oh my gosh, like, you know, and I would have zoomed in on it and, you know, tried to see what it looks like. But now I just kind of laugh in the face of the mirror. But it hasn't been easy. Like Jenny and you, Jen, I've done a lot of inner work, and this is why I do what I do, helping teenagers, because I know how difficult it is, as you do as well. But I think what I would say for anybody for advice about mirror checking is, don't be afraid to restrict yourself from mirror checking, because there's been lots of talk about you shouldn't restrict yourself from mirrors, you know, because you're not facing the fear. But it's all about manifestation of mirror checking and forming the habit. So I would say, if you are prone to being negative to yourself when you look in the mirror, then get rid of as many mirrors as you can. Not all of them, but just most of them. Put the kind mirror in the kind place, the mirror that doesn't show up all of our bits in the light and things like that. Because there's one mirror that shows up all my crow's feet on this side, but this side actually looks quite nice. So there is, you know, find a spot in the house where you are okay with how you look in the mirror, and just stick to that. You've got to be disciplined. It's like going to the mind gym. You've really got to stick at it, and that would be my advice to people. Don't get into the habit of looking in all the mirrors, because it only leads down a rabbit hole of negativity.
Yeah, it makes sense to me, but then you're right, Olivia, you do see conflicting advice, don't you? You see people to say, stand in front of the mirror with no clothes on and just look at yourself and look at yourself until, you know, but for me, I think I would find that just too difficult.
If you was ready to do that work, you know, if you came to me and you said, right, I want to be able to look at myself in the mirror naked and feel okay about my body, then I would work with you on that if that's what you wanted. But I would say if you feel okay when you don't look in the mirror, then why go to all of that unnecessary drama of yourself when you don't necessarily need to?
Yeah.
Just do the work that you need to do. What do you think, Jennie? Just as a last intake before we...
I agree. Again, I think this is a bigger topic than we can address in a short period of time. I also just wanted to briefly say at this point that the camera is also another source of issues for people who have body dysmorphia.
Yeah.
And my observation is that a camera can just serve as a very useful reflective surface that goes everywhere with you. And
did you know there's Zoom dysmorphia now?
Yeah, not surprised. I didn't know.
Yeah.
But I think it's important to know that the camera on your phone distorts dramatically.
Yeah.
And not in a flattering way. And we could also get into the whole topic of filters, but that's for another day.
And also the other topic of taking selfies and then looking at the picture and zooming in on yourself. That's something a lot of people do in the you know, teenagers.
Yes.
So there's all sorts of ways to look at yourself. The bottom line is, the more you look, the more you will look. The more you look, the more you will look, and the more you will look, the more you won't like.
Yeah.
So.
Well, like you say, Jennie, we could talk all day about this topic, but we're coming to the end of this episode. So thank you so much again for sharing your incredible insights. And like I say, I've said before, you can get more information at bodyimagecoach.co.uk. Like and subscribe this. And next week, we're going to talk about negative words and the impact that might have on young people. Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.